Hello, and welcome to day 6. Today we're going to talk about why self-reflection, processing, talking to other people about what's going on internally is the best thing you can do for your mental health. This kind of goes against the old American adage that says suck it up and go it alone, but that really is the worst advice anyone could give you, because humans are the most social species on the planet. We need to be around other people, and when we're isolated in our own houses or behind our smartphones, our brain goes into fight or flight mode and literally thinks we're going to die. This can kind of be shown through the research that shows that our natural opiate levels, our pain modification neurochemicals, those go down when we're alone, when we're away from people. Because our brains think when we're away from the tribe, we're in trouble, that a predator will get us or a warring tribe will take us out. So our bodies naturally put in a defense mechanism that says be around people. But in today's culture, it's very easy to segregate and separate and just keep everything inside. But it's not until we're genuine, we express ourselves, that you start to see a difference in that feeling of belonging. Because when you don't belong, basically a lot of things happen. You can see this happening in our culture on a whole when you see the rise in depression, substance abuse, anxiety, all these things rising, kind of correlated with our technological dependence and how isolated we've become. Because research has shown that lack of belonging is actually worse for your health than smoking, obesity, and high blood pressure. And the reason this is that when we're in fight or flight mode, we're only thinking about our short-term goals. We're not thinking about our long-term projects. So our body puts everything on the back burner that it doesn't think is necessary, such as muscle development, brain development, immune response. So physically, we start to get sick when we're mentally sick, when we're alone and we're not kind of expressing ourselves to other people. So we need to interact, socialize, and be vulnerable, and treat our internal wounds the same way we would an external wound. Because if you have an external wound, say for instance I'm mountain biking and I poke myself with a stick, I look at that wound, I clean it out, I look for help, I talk to someone who's an expert to help extract that thing. So we need to do that same thing for our internal wounds. We need to look at them. We need to talk to someone about them, talk to someone professional about them, so we can kind of have the same, good hygiene for our internal health as we do for our external health. Because when our emotional brain is activated and it's kind of getting louder and louder and louder on our right side, we need to balance that out with our language center on the left side of our brain. Because internal wounds and external wounds are the same in that if you don't treat this symptom, if you don't treat a stick wound, eventually it will become an infection and could lead to your own death. So an internal wound will do the same thing. You'll keep growing and growing and growing until you balance it out with the left side of your brain, with your language center. Because research has shown even talking about your problems to a tape recorder lowers your stress level, lowers your cortisol levels. So you need to kind of express yourself, and you need to not do that just kind of on a superficial level. You need to express yourself as you would to kind of a therapist or a close friend. I'm not saying do that to everyone you see, but find someone you trust and get that out. Because talking activates your vagus nerve, which brings your rest and digest system up. So you start to calm down every time you talk. Even just expressing yourself in a journal is helpful. Because eventually bad shit happens in life. That's just kind of a given. So when bad shit happens, we need to balance that out with some sort of support or some understanding or self-reflection that gives a positive association with that negative event. And something that I really like to think about in this situation is something that I learned a long time ago. And it's that when the Chinese write the character chaos, they write it with 2 characters. So they have 2 different kind of sayings, one which means opportunity and one which means crisis. So basically you need to kind of pick which road you're going to go down and try to understand that life will throw you a lot of bad situations, but you can make those into opportunities and create a trauma resilience which will hopefully stay with you for life. So for today's self-reflection, we're going to look at some life events that you've already overcome so you can know that you have some trauma resilience build up to overcome the next challenge. But that's all I have for today. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.